I'm Diana Beale from Cobnall House here, and my role is a landowner and manager of Cobnall Estate and of Canute Cottages, which are our holiday cottages here. Well, the family story starts just before the end of the First World War in October 1918. My grandfather, who was the major in the Royal Sussex Regiment, and my grandmother, who had worked as a kind of early physiotherapist with wounded servicemen in the war. They had been living in London. My grandfather was wounded, he was very sick, and he'd nearly lost the use of his legs. And they obviously, between them, made a major decision to move from London, and my grandfather working in law at the time, well, before the war. To cut a long story short, they decided to move to the country. So then they settled here, and my grandfather became a farmer and a sailor and a little bit of a gentleman farmer, but he became chairman of the NFU, and my grandmother was an artist, so they built a boathouse with a painting studio above it. And my grandmother painted scene after scene in the harbour here and had exhibitions locally. A couple of early memories. One of the ones is along the harbour edge here. You've just got the most magnificent old oak trees, and they've burrowed their roots way back into the bank, and they get lashed by the sou'westerlies, and they live half in the top of the tide and half in the land, and they seem to survive by pushing their roots further and further back. So they've got all these exposed roots and wonderful shapes, as you can see. And as little kids, 2-year-olds or whatever, we used to come around here, sit in the roots and play shops with acorns and leaves and little stones. Then when I had children, we've got triplets, and they're 16 now, but when they were little, they'd come and play in all these trees. Well, they still do. We still climb up them, and this one here, I've got endless pictures of the tree full of kids climbing all over it. And also, it's like when my dad was small and my aunt was small, they used to play in these trees as well. So I love that. 3 generations of our family's children have played in the same trees. So long may that last.